I think mentoring is probably the best part of this job. Before I became a professor, I was teaching at Northern New Mexico College in Espanola, and then I worked for an herbal supplement manufacturing company. And what I realized was that I wanted to mentor students in research. So I guess I would say my role in mentoring would just be to show them tools, expose them to tools. We have a lot of instrumentation in the lab. We have a lot of protocols for extracting, different types of compounds from plants. But I encourage them to come up with their own questions, because I think a true scientist is a creative scientist. And part of that is students have to find out who they are. I feel like that's my role as a mentor, is just giving them that space to grow and experiment, and then, find their calling.
This is so cool.
I have found that in my career, there were definitely many years where I felt like I was a disconnected person, because I had like myself, my traditions, my culture. It was like, this is this person, and then there was the academic person who published papers, did these techniques and all this stuff. And I thought, okay, well, the way for me to connect my culture and tradition is to really look at my science and start formulating questions and hypotheses that are relevant to my culture. And I think that's possible with every science. I grew up around plants, and I think I took them for granted because they were just part of our lifestyle. My grandmother in Mexico, I'm from Durango, Mexico, and my grandmother was an herbalist, and she just would use all the plants in her garden. She had an orchard. She just had like vanilla beans and just all these plants in different gardens around her home. And she would use them for healing. She'd use them anytime we felt sick. And then once we immigrated to the US, we were seasonal farm workers, so we would work the agricultural fields in the panhandle of Texas every summer. And so we were around plants again. And so I just kind of thought everybody was always around plants like I was. Growing up, we ate very traditional foods. My mom always prepared everything at home. I mean, we didn't really ever have a microwave. I still don't have a microwave, and so I'm used to traditional foods. And being a plant chemist, learning a lot about the chemistry of plants over my career. Now I feel like the past couple of years, I've kind of come back to traditional foods, because understanding the chemistry of a plant is great. Knowing the genes that are turned on to make these compounds are great. But I think something that I was craving in my career was connecting that back to who I am as a person. And that includes the foods that we prepare at home. If you eat a green chili, a roasted green chili, with only plant-based foods versus maybe green chili with like cheese and pork meat, does that impact the compounds in the meals? What happens to these compounds when they're in our stomach? Do they actually get absorbed or not? I think that's why I love science so much, because you build your path and you decide what direction to take your science. And I thought, well, this is what I want to do, for the next few years. Being in academia, there's a lot of, cultural barriers, and I'm a single mom, and so there's barriers on top of that, like having a family, being a professor. And I think acknowledging hey, you have extra stuff that you have to take care of, and you're making it. You should be extra proud of yourself. Both of those things make you probably a more accomplished person. So I do think we need to stop telling people that they're successful because they have this amount of money or they have this amount of grants, that is success in your workplace, But overall, you want to be a successful individual who's also part of a community and is also, taking care of family.